Very warm welcome to all the students who have joined us today for this webinar. My name is Chetan Jain. I'm the Managing Director of Study Smart Overseas Education. We are a consultancy firm that helps students who want to study abroad with offices all across India. On a personal front, I have over 12 years of experience in the overseas education sector. I've had the fortune to work with various British universities. I've done a lot of consultation works for various embassies like the Canadian Embassy, Education New Zealand, Education Ireland. And today I will be, from my experience and all the intelligence that we've been gathering, all the universities that we've been speaking to, all the various agencies, government agencies we've been speaking to, we would like to shed some light today on what the impact of COVID-19 would be on students who are planning to study abroad. What are the universities planning to do in the current scenario? And as students, what should you be doing? What should your steps be? Right? So we'll try and cover that in the webinar today. The structure of the webinar will be, I will address some of the inputs from our side. We also have our master trainer, Jacinta Matthews, who will be taking a small session on test preparation. Right? And after that, we will leave the last 15 to 20 minutes open for any questions that you have. So there is a question and answer box that you'll be able to see. You can post your questions there, and we will try to answer all the questions that you have. Right? So let's get started. This is a bit of a one-way conversation, not something that I prefer, but yeah, let's get started with this. So firstly, what we've tried to do is we've tried to analyze the current situation in various countries in terms of how many COVID-19 cases they have, what is the situation of the lockdown in that country, are they allowing students to come in, and what are the intakes that you can target? And very, very importantly, we are looking at the economic recovery. As an international student, it's very important that you go there and find a job. If you don't find a job, what's the point of spending that kind of money, right? So how quickly can their economy recover so that by the time you graduate or by the time you finish your course, the job market is fruitful enough for you to get a job, right? So on these parameters, we've done some assessment of popular countries where students are going, and we thought we'll share some insight with you. So the first country that we've listed is Australia, where the risk assessment is very low. The average new cases that they're seeing is only 6. The country is pretty much open. So right from public transports, non-essential shops, restaurants are all open. Schools have already started opening, and we're expecting universities to also open very soon. The government very recently made an announcement that they'll be opening their borders also by next month. So currently their borders are closed. They're only open for nationals and people from New Zealand. But over the next 1 month, we're expecting them to open their borders. The next available intake in Australia, you could target the November intake. There are quite a few universities that are offering a November intake. Otherwise, we expect Australia to have a full-fledged February intake where they'll be more than welcoming international students. And I think Australia is a very good destination from a safety aspect, from a growth aspect. We believe that economic recovery will be almost immediate because their domestic consumption is very high. They're a powerhouse in the Pacific Asia region, and we don't see them having any major economic impact of the COVID-19 situation. They should be the first ones to, in fact, recover in terms of economy as well. Right? So that's as far as Australia is concerned. So we would rate it as a low risk assessment and a preferred country in the current scenario. Next in the list is New Zealand. So even for New Zealand, we have kept the risk assessment at low. The country is pretty much open. It's the first country to go zero on their cases. They're seeing 0 new cases. It's been almost a week since they've not had any new cases. Everything is open in New Zealand, right from their public transport to restaurants, schools, outdoors like beaches, parks, everything is open. Right, so I would take all the, Devendra, I would request you to put all the questions at the end together because it gets very distracting if there are questions coming up. So we'll answer all the questions at the end together. Keep gathering the questions, Devendra, and share them towards the end when we are doing the 15-minute slot. Right, currently New Zealand is the only country that is allowing even people from other nationalities to come into the country, but they are doing a self-isolation of 14 days as a mandate. In New Zealand also, the next intake that students can target is the October intake, and we are very confident they'll be doing a full-fledged February intake as well. So February intake could also be targeted. Economic recovery for New Zealand also will be immediate. Like I said, they've had the least impact because they're the fastest to recover also from the situation. So we don't see their economy taking a massive hit, or in fact, they would recover very, very fast. Another country that's listed on a low risk assessment is Ireland. The current average cases have come down to 20 a week, so they're also pretty much kind of out of the whole corona situation. Uh, Even in Ireland, a lot of things are currently operational, right? So right from the public transport, restaurants are open. The schools are expected to open by mid-July, right? And from 1st of July, they will allow international travelers as well. It is expected that a 14-day isolation will be required for people who come into the country, self-isolation. And the next strong intake that you can target is the September intake. Ireland has a big September intake. In fact, the only intake they have is September, very few courses in January, right? So you could target September. They're very much open to welcome students, so they've not made any announcements, barring a couple of universities there who have decided to do their first semester online. Most of them are going ahead with the September intake. The economic recovery for Ireland is also immediate, so we don't see too much of an impact of the COVID situation on Ireland as well. Right? Then coming to some of the moderate countries where we feel the impact is moderate, is not on the higher side, nor is it very low. UK is, I would say, a moderate country in that sense. We've seen the cases have come down to 1,500 cases. UK did it very differently. They did not go on a lockdown mode. They instead went the herd immunity way, and I think the strategy has somewhat worked for them. So we are seeing them recovering very, very fast from the whole COVID situation. Public transport is open. Essential shops, non-essential shops, restaurants are expected to open by first week of July. Schools are expected to open by mid of July. And again, UK is very confident of doing the September intake. So most of the universities are getting up for the September intake. We also seen that a lot of universities in the UK are open to offer a January intake. Just day before yesterday, there was a webinar conducted by the UKVI where they gave us guidelines that they are going ahead with the September intake. They are expecting the VFS, that is the visa application centers, to open by first week of July. So students will be able to apply for their visas. So they're looking good to go for the September intake, or maybe at most January intake. Again, the economic recovery for UK, we see it as a short term. I think UK has benefited largely by exiting the EU, and a lot of job creations would happen over the next 1.5, 2 years, right? So we believe the economic recovery, and also from a student's perspective in terms of getting jobs, it's 1 year down the line since when you graduate. So I think by then things would be back to normal, and you should be able to find jobs in UK as well. Hence, we've kept it at a moderate. Germany also remains moderate in terms of risk assessment. Their current average is 375 cases. They're also pretty much open in all senses. In terms of international travel, they're only allowing EU nationals to come into the country. So movement is only allowed for EU nationals. But we believe that they would be able to, they will open up things pretty fast. They were the first ones to start football matches, very interestingly, right? Without an audience, of course. So yeah, Germany is also opening up. And again, we believe the economic recovery will be short term, so they should recover from this whole situation fairly fast. So students who have already applied for Germany can definitely go for the September-October intake. But in terms of new applications, we believe that February would be the next intake that you can avail in Germany. Again, a lot of universities may not do the September intake in Germany. There's no strong communication that's come out from the universities on what they want to do. Right. Then next is Canada. We're keeping it from moderate to high. While Canada has done fairly well in terms of COVID cases, they're down to 600. Overall, they're pretty much open in terms of the public transport, in terms of schools and colleges, restaurants. They're opening up. Schools and colleges are not open yet, right? But we expect them to open up fairly soon, right? They're not allowing international travel yet, but again, that is something we expect them to open up fairly soon. The reason why we are keeping it on a moderate to high is the economic recovery. We expect Canada will be on the slower side. Canadian economy depends to a great extent on the US economy, which has taken the biggest hit in this COVID-19 situation. So we anticipate that the economic recovery for Canada could be slow, and there could be trouble in terms of job creation. So that's why we've kept it on a moderate to high level. But the country definitely does have opportunities, especially if you're willing to travel up north in Canada. There could be opportunities for students. The next available intake would be January. September intake, a lot of colleges have already announced that they would do the first semester online. So we are not very confident whether Canada will do the September intake or not, because we are getting mixed communication from most colleges. But we are confident that they will do a January intake in a physical form. Lastly, let's look at the US. we would keep it on a high actually. They're currently still seeing 21,000 cases on an average. A lot of things are still on a lockdown mode. A lot of things have not opened up in the country, and I believe they've taken the biggest hit in terms of the economy. So their economy is going to take a while to revive, right? So we would not recommend students to consider US at least for the next 1.5 year till the time the situation improves there. They are a strong economy. They do have the ability to bounce back very strongly also. But I think it's for USA, I would say it's fair to wait and watch and see how things play out in the next 1.5 years. Right. So these are the countries that we thought we will share and kind of give you an assessment of what our view about these countries are and how we kind of profile them in terms of the risk for you as an international student, and at the same time your career prospects in terms of jobs. Right. What are the universities planning to do? It's very, very important to understand. Obviously, this is a generic feedback that we're giving about universities. So certain things might vary from X university to Y university, but in general, most of them are thinking on the same lines. Right. Firstly, universities in UK, Ireland, and Germany are pretty much preparing to welcome students for September intake. A lot of them, what they've done is they've pushed their September intake by a couple of weeks. So, instead of starting the September in mid of September, they're looking to start it by end of September or first week of October, with the flexibility of an additional extension of 2 to 3 weeks to students. So even if your course is starting on 1st of October, for example, you can join the program till mid of October as well. So that flexibility is being offered by universities because they understand that the students may not have enough time to apply for the visa and get through with all the processes. So they're giving that little extra time to students. In case of Australia and New Zealand, there could be some courses that will be available in October and November intake. So you could target the October-November intake. I think both these countries are absolutely safe from a student point of view to travel, and I don't see any issues there. But we are confident that they'll have a full-fledged intake in February where the entire variety of all the courses with all the universities and all the colleges will be available for the February intake. Right? We see that most universities across the countries from September onwards are keen on conducting physical classes. The physical classes will be conducted, but with keeping the social distancing norms in order. So the class sizes would reduce, I believe. Typically if you have 30, 40 students in a class, it may come down to 15, 20 students in a class so that social distancing is maintained. We do expect the number of contact classes to reduce. So say typically if a university does 20 hours of contact classes in a week, they might reduce the contact classes to maybe 10 hours or 12 hours, right? And they might adopt a blended form of learning where they might, conduct certain modules online and certain modules through classroom training. One advice I would give as a counselor to all students that if you're looking to start your program online, it's not something we are recommending. I don't think it's worth spending the kind of money if you were to take the course online. So only commit yourself towards a program if there are physical classes happening and you can make it for the physical classes. I don't honestly, as a counselor, see any point in attending even one semester online because the real exposure of studying abroad comes from your physical presence there and the experience you have and the cultural diversity you have of meeting other students, which you cannot achieve through online. So if you are considering that option, obviously it's your personal choice at the end of the day. But as a counselor, we would say only go for physical classes if the university is able to offer you physical classes, right? What we're also seeing is that a lot of universities are moving lab-based modules to their second semester. So, a lot of universities would have lab-based modules in their first and second semester. So what they're doing is they're pushing it across to the second semester. By then, things would be better and, they would be able to conduct the lab-based modules very comfortably. A lot of universities, a lot of countries, like you see, will require you to have self-isolation. As of now, I believe by September, October, the self-isolation norms will also reduce drastically, right? But even if self-isolation is required, all the universities across the globe are very, very committed to facilitate the self-isolation for the students. So they will ensure that, you are in a proper place, whether it's the university accommodation or private accommodation. If there are any supplies that you need to facilitate the self-isolation for the students, the universities are going to make a lot of effort from their side to ensure it goes smooth for their students. Right? We believe a large number of courses may get moved to January intake. So I believe January intake across the countries is a very, very safe option right now. So you could always accept your admission for the September intake and defer yourself to the January intake if the January intake is available, depending on how the scenario plays out in the next couple of months. We have seen a lot of universities are giving flexi payment plans. So in terms of their initial deposits, they've reduced that. They're giving you more options of installments. So there's a lot of flexibility available on the payment front of the tuition fee. We're also seeing a lot of universities giving away attractive scholarships. So there are additional scholarships that are being given away to students. And they've also been very flexible on their refund policy. Typically, deposit payments are not refundable, but due to the current situation, if as a student you have paid or you're going to pay the deposit and say you back out for any reason, the deposit is fully refundable. I can confidently say that 99% of the universities will refund your deposit in case you've paid it. So you can be rest assured that if you're paying the deposit, your deposit is safe. It's not, you're not going to lose the deposit for any reason, right? That's as far as the university plans are concerned. Certain recommendations from our side for students. Sorry, I'll just. Yeah, certain recommendations from our side. We would recommend that you continue with your applications. If you've not started your applications yet, you can definitely start your applications for whatever universities that are open for September or January intake, especially in low to moderate countries. You can leave out the high risk ones. If you're holding an offer from your desired university, we would recommend that you accept the offer, right? We believe there could be a mad rush that will come in for the January intake. So it's better that you reserve your offer by paying your deposit, right? And have the flexibility to then defer your admission to January, because since you've already paid the deposit, you'll be given first preference if you're deferring your admission to January. So, if you're holding an offer which you like, which is the preferred university, even if you're holding it for September intake, go ahead, make your deposit payment, then take a month to see how things are panning out. If you think you are comfortable going for the September intake, go ahead with the September intake. If not, then defer your annual admission to the January intake. By January, I think things will be back to normal and we all will be living like the whole COVID situation never happened, right? Be positive. These Western countries are far better equipped to deal with crisis than we are, or India is, right? So in terms of crisis management, in terms of healthcare facilities, they're far superior. So even as a student, if you're going there, you'll get better medical support there. All the student insurance across all countries are covering COVID-19 treatment as well. So say if you go there and you get COVID-19, I hope that doesn't happen to anybody, but if you do get the virus, the treatment will be free of cost. And I can assure you the treatment there will be far superior to what treatment you'll get in India. The hospital facilities would be better. They'll be much more hygienic. So in all terms, you're going to a developed country. So you're gonna get better facilities on all fronts, right? A lot of universities, educational bodies, governments are working together to ensure that they put policies in place to ensure student safety and also provide all kind of support that an international student may be required. For example, the current international students who are in countries like Ireland, UK, Canada are getting support from the government. They're getting some kind of subsidy for grocery supplies. They're getting students who don't have a part-time job are getting a certain amount from the government so that they can sustain themselves. So these countries are going that extra mile to ensure that the students are safe. So even if students who go now and if they face any hardships, you can be rest assured that the government will provide the support to you. Before the government, it will be the university who will. So a lot of universities have extra contingency funds that they have in reserve, right? So situations like this is when they utilize these funds to support their students. So be rest assured that you're safe, and even if you go there and something was to go wrong, you would still be covered. In fact, a lot of students who came back to India during this period to be with their family are regretting that why they came back, because the students who are there who did not come back, who decide to stay back, are in a far better and a stronger position right now, right? Don't let this COVID-19 situation deter your dream of studying abroad. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's a life-changing opportunity. So go ahead and make the most of it. I don't think you should shy away from this. Ensure that you're obviously calculating the risk. Ensure that you're assessing the risk and targeting low risk countries. But I think you should not drop your plans. And if not September, definitely look at the January intake, right? I'd like to talk a little about us. So like I said, we are Study Smart Overseas Education. We help students who want to study abroad. We cater to various countries like US, UK, Germany, Ireland, Canada, the works. We have our counseling offices in Delhi, Gurgaon, Pune, Thane, and Surat. We also have student support offices in London and Auckland that provide post-departure support to our students. We are one of the first ones to start online counseling. So we also provide online counseling through Zoom. So, if you want one-to-one counseling, you don't have to visit our offices. You can always take it online, from the safety of your house. We are accredited by the British Council, the Education New Zealand, Education Ireland. We are members of Society of Education UK, Association of Australian Representatives in India. We are also one of the top IELTS coaching institutes. We train over 1,200 students a year. We also provide online training for the IELTS. We were one of the first ones to provide online training, right? And we've placed over 5,000 students across 12 countries since we've been doing this, right? So we have a lot of experience, a lot of exposure of placing students across the world. We have a huge alumni database also, which provides a lot of support to our students who go there, right? So you will get the best of services with us in that sense, right? What are our student services? What do we do for you? We take care of the entire process. So we provide the counseling and guidance at every step. We help you select the right university, the right country, depending on the profile and your requirements, right? We also do a profile mapping exercise, right, where we then suggest career-oriented courses to you or industry integrated courses to you, so that the chances of you getting a job in that country are much higher. So what we have done is we have linked all the skill shortages of the countries and mapped them to certain courses, which will ensure that you get a good job there. So we again recommend certain courses to students so that they get a job once they go there. We provide a guidance on the application process, the SOP, recommendation letters. We have a scholarship cell that takes care of the scholarship applications. We have tie-ups with banks, so we provide you with support for an education loan with public sector banks. We take care of the entire visa process, the visa counseling, the documentation, the interview preparation, all the pre-departure services, flight tickets, currency, everything, accommodation. So again, if you need accommodation, we'll help you with that. Part-time jobs also, we provide support through our support offices in London and Auckland. We have an active network of 1,500 plus alumni who also provide a lot of support to our students, right? So that's the services that you will get if you choose to take our services. Right, a special offer for our students. I hope this webinar would have helped you to kind of, clear some of your confusions. We will obviously be taking questions also later on. But if you're still confused about your study abroad plan, you need personalized guidance and advice. I have decided to personally counsel students for the next 1 week, one-to-one using the Zoom platform. So you can book a direct counseling session with me, a one-to-one on Zoom. Right. So if you want to book this free counseling session with me, we'll be scheduling it throughout next week. You can call on the number given below. You can call and book a session with me. They will allot you a time and they will share a link on Zoom. So you can click on that link and join in on Zoom, and we can have a face-to-face conversation using technology towards its best. Right. So if you're looking for a free one-to-one counseling session with me, you can connect on this number given below. Book an appointment, and I'll be happy to guide you and advise you because every case is different, every student is different, their requirements are different, their financial situations are different. So while we have given you some generic guidelines, we are more than happy to give you specific guidelines as per your needs. Right. On that note, I would like to now invite Jacinta Matthews, who's a master trainer at Study Smart, to give you some information on IELTS and some general test prep information. Jacinta, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Chetan. And that was a very clear and very insightful study about how you can prepare yourself in this situation where the COVID-19 is concerned. A little bit about me. I have over 12 years of experience doing this. Right, and I've been the master trainer with Study Smart. I'm just going to give you a little insight about how you can utilize this time a little better for preparing for the most important test, that is the IELTS test, which is very, very critical and important for your visa as well as for your application. So a little overview, IELTS is an English proficiency test. And like I just mentioned, it's an important document for your application and visa. For students who are aspiring to go abroad for their further studies, they need an overall band of 6.5 and 6 in each module. So the module that you are going to prepare and give your test on is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, so it's a 3-hour test. Listening, reading, and writing happen on the same day, and speaking would be conducted either before the reading, listening, writing, or after that, right? And it's a very simple test. I would always encourage students that not to fear about IELTS. It's an easy test, but a little preparation definitely helps you to crack the exam. Well, how do you prepare for IELTS? Well, it's very simple. Now, utilizing the time that you have right now, it's very important that you upgrade and update yourself. So, Chetan, if you could just move to the next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So let me give you a little insight about how do you need to prepare for IELTS online. Earlier, Chetan did mention that we are the first ones to introduce online training in this situation, and we were there before as well. Study Smart brings you the state-of-the-art online platform. It's very simple. Okay, we have been in this business for the last 10 years, so we kind of know what is required for a student to prepare where IELTS is concerned. Our course and our curriculum is very well designed with a research of almost 8 to 9 years. So definitely, whatever that you are going to prepare while you're preparing for your IELTS, the content and the curriculum will help you to a larger extent to crack your IELTS exam. Considering the convenience of the students, we have also kept a batch very flexible. So we have batches throughout the day, and based on your availability and convenience, you can select the batch that you want to attend. All our trainers are British Council certified trainers with a minimum of 7 to 8 years of experience. So I would say that you're in good hands where your IELTS preparation is concerned. The content that is available to you both offline and online mode, the book that we give to our students in the offline mode where we practice from, and the online content is of international standard. Not to forget to mention that the content has been developed by 2 British Council examiners with an experience of over 18 to 20 years. So whatever content that you are going to practice on, it's going to be of international standard. Exclusive access to our online portal, and that is only to our student. So you get this access for 6 months. So over a period of 6 months while you are practicing, you have the access for the portal. There are ample and more number of practice tests. So in total, you get like 45 mock tests that you can practice on. It's an English proficiency test. So not to forget to mention that grammar and vocabulary are very, very important. And over the past so many years of experience, I would like to point out that even if a lot of people speak good English, grammar has always been a pain area. So we have a lot of practice sessions that you can use and utilize on the portal to brush up your grammar as well as your vocabulary, which is very, very important and typical to the IELTS exam. Convenient because you can sit at your home comfort and give the exam. So it's a very convenient way of learning, I would say. So online works for many people, and like you all are digital age children, or you're all digital age students. So this becomes the way of life for you going forward. And another thing about our training is that you get individual feedback, both on the online mode as well as the offline mode. So your facilitator, your faculty, whenever you have a problem, whenever you have an issue, you want to know your progress, they go that extra mile to help you out and give you a very transparent feedback on what are the areas that you can improve on. Like I initially mentioned, that this is the best time to prepare because you have a lot of time in hand. And I have personally seen even professionals preparing and upgrading themselves. So if your plans are very, very concrete on your future plans to go abroad for your further studies, I think this is the best time to prepare for IELTS. And IELTS is something which can be done in your daily routine as well. So you don't have to really worry about that. Okay, so this was about how you can prepare. And moving forward, I would like to draw each one of your attention towards the uh, the offline as well as the online comparison. Okay, so Chetan, we would move to the next slide, please. Many of us, we have this mindset that, sitting in a classroom, we learn better. Well, that's true. I would say many years ago, but not anymore, because online has broken most of the barriers or the mindset about learning. All right. And comparing the offline and online learning, I would say that the most important thing is social distancing today, right? So if you are careful about yourself, and if you really feel that this COVID-19 is something that we need to take care of ourselves, so offline mode, no social distancing, you have to be with others in the class. But on the online mode, it's absolutely full social distancing that you can think of, and you don't even have to wear a mask. All right. It's a one-on-one interaction, definitely, in on both the platforms. So you will get that in the offline mode also, and you would get that on the online. In the offline mode, the minimum number of students can vary, and you may feel sometimes that there are too many students in the batch. But on the offline mode, we have very consciously taken care of that. And we feel that a batch size of minimum 5 and a maximum 10 is a good size to for a trainer to give full attention in the offline mode. In an offline mode, sometimes we may get a little distracted, so the attention becomes a little varied. But in an online mode, you have full focus and full attention from the facilitator. So there are a lot of features that a facilitator uses to grab the attention while you're preparing on online. In offline mode, we have very limited access to technology, but I think on the offline mode, we can go all out and use every bit of the technology that is available. And thanks to Zoom, I think life has become very simple where the learning is concerned. It's 100% focus on the online mode. So distraction is less. You are isolated in your own comfort level, as well as the trainer has the control for distractors in the class, whereas it may not be available in the offline. And the most important point I would like to mention here is you have no recording, or I would say no record of the class that you attend on an offline mode. But on the online mode, you would have probably every class, not probably, I would say we record each of our class sessions. And whenever you want to refer to your batch recording, we give the access to our students so that they can see the recording of that day's class. Moving forward, while most of the centers are right now closed where the IELTS test is concerned, but British Council has taken a step forward and introduced something called as the IELTS indicator. Okay, now the IELTS indicator is just a provision right now, a substitute for your IELTS exam. All right. And in considering this situation, a student who aspires to go abroad for their further studies can actually take this test, that is IELTS indicator. And most of the universities are now accepting. However, we would still recommend that before booking your test, you must check with your university, you must check with your educational institute to see if they are, but 90% of the universities are accepting IELTS indicator. A few of the features I've already put up on the slide, but I would just like to mention is it's a 3-hour test. So you would be taking this test online in the comfort of your home. However, you need to give 3 hours full as on a one shot. You can't pause your exam, go have water or go out and come back and give the exam. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be dedicated full 3 hours that you need to give for the test. Anybody who is aspiring to go abroad, especially the academic students, can take this test. This test is, the cost of this test is $149, which is around about 11,175 in Indian rupees, right? And you get your results within 7 days of your listening, reading, and writing test, and you will get an email. Even your university is sent an email about your projected scores. Okay, so IELTS indicator gives you a projected score about how you have done on your test. So in a nutshell, I would just like to draw few points to your attention, that while we are all walking a very tightrope right now in the current situation, but utilize this time and utilize what Study Smart is offering you on the online content, and with the experienced facilitators. I think your preparation starts right now after this class. And that's everything about me. If you will have a question, Chetan and I are happy to address that in just a couple of seconds.